Possible cuts are being discussed in 2024 as the United States prepares for yet another probable war. The American people have been through a lot in the last 5 years, from lockdowns to mandates, from the health crisis to inflation causing the price of pretty much everything to spike, all the way up to the COLA increases for Social Security, for SSI, and for SSDI. Not to mention the threats from many countries like Russia, China, North Korea, and many other groups. All the while, the American taxpayer continues to fund Ukraine, Israel, and possibly even Taiwan, which is why it's startling to hear about possible cuts in programs right here at home. Cuts that could become a reality if we go into war overseas. A reality that seems to be at our doorsteps as the US is failing at stopping Iran-backed Houthis in the Red Sea.
Well, when you say working, are they stopping the Houthis? No. Are they going to continue? Yes.
How concerned are you with the Arab American votes during this election? And what Iowa means to you, to your re-election race?
Well, I don't think Iowa means anything. The president got 50-some thousand votes, the lowest number of votes anybody's won got. You know, this idea that it's been a runaway, he can characterize any way he wants. Let him make that judgment. What was the second part of the question?
The part was, are you concerned with the Arab American votes voting for you during this election because of Gaza? Many say they will not vote for you.
Well, look, the former president wants to put a ban on Arabs coming into the country. We'll make sure we understand who cares about the Arab population.
So what was the definition of insanity again? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results? I think it was Einstein that said it, but it makes sense, doesn't it? So President Joe Biden is saying that the attacks that we've done against the Houthis are not working, but they continue to do it? Yes, they do. So you're probably thinking to yourself, like, this is war, right? We are now at war, right? Now, if you ask the Houthi leaders, this is what you would hear.
The Biden administration has designated your group, the Houthis, as a terrorist organization. What is your reaction to that?
We would say to Biden, this label should be given to Netanyahu, he says.
Is there now a regional war underway between the United States and Iranian-backed groups, including your own?
Yes, as we said, America announced the war against us, he says.
Iran is projecting its power in other ways as well. Iran carried out a strike in Baluchistan, which is a region in Pakistan, a region where many militant groups operate, including anti-Iranian groups. Pakistan responded with a strike against Iran. You know things are bad in the region when even the Taliban are calling for calm.
So there you go, guys. If you ask the Houthis, they are at war with the United States. I guess because it's now been, some back and forth out there and, with attacks and retaliations being exchanged. So here we are. However, that doesn't seem to be the case if you ask the Pentagon. So according to the Pentagon, the United States they're not at war. We're not at war, right? They also added that this is something that the White House is avoiding. So it's kind of like a case of a one-sided relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you and a girl, you go to a restaurant, you run into an old friend and they ask you, hey, how you been? Hey, who's this? Oh, that's my girlfriend. And she's kind of like looking at you like, we ain't boyfriend, girlfriend. We're just hanging out. Yeah, kind of like that, but not exactly. So anyway, you got to ask, this is the United States of America, a country that's feared when it comes to war, right? So why are these Iran-backed Houthi militants just so eager to call this a war against us? Some experts actually believe that this is actually due to President Joe Biden showing weakness early on when Hamas attacked Israel. That, together with the multiple attacks on American troops overseas, seeing that, he pretty much failed to retaliate in a swift and efficient manner. Kind of like all of this is like a culmination of their perceived perception of what Joe Biden stands for now. So the question is, do you guys agree with this analysis? Do you think that the Iran-backed Houthis now look at the United States as being weak because President Joe Biden didn't act sooner, or is it some other reason? Now, I do believe the Pentagon to some extent, kind of wanted action a little bit earlier than this to show them that we mean business right from the beginning. But of course, that didn't happen. Something that was delayed because the White House didn't want to have this conflict expand in the region. However, apparently that plan backfired and it might just be too late for that. So look at this, guys. So another US-owned ship right in the Red Sea was attacked with ballistic missiles. Now, luckily, thank our lucky stars here, right? Luckily, it only hit the water near the ship. So this attack happened right after the interview of President Joe Biden. Look at the irony of that, right? Because he knows for a fact what they're doing right now. It's not discouraging these Houthis at all.
Houthi rebels fired another ballistic missile into the Red Sea area, hitting a US-owned and operated container ship. There have now been more than 30 attacks on commercial ships since mid-November.
Edward Lawrence is with us. What's the White House saying about these latest attacks?
Yeah, the White House reacting faster with this one. Now we have 2 Navy SEAL teams that went in and seized a military shipment headed for the Houthis. The U.S. is confirming that these shipments were going to the Houthis. They got a cache of weapons in this, including ballistic missiles. They have anti-ship cruise missiles, warheads, and propulsion systems. Now, in that operation, 2 SEALs went missing in the ocean. The search for them is ongoing. Now, the weapons were taken by the U.S. along with the 14-member crew of the ship. The U.S. sunk that ship. This marks the first time the U.S. has seized advanced weapons from Iran since November of 2019. Now, retired General Jack Keane says the U.S. needs to send a greater message directly to Iran.
This is probably why the strategy has changed for the United States. So at this point, we're not waiting for these threats to kind of get off the ground. Instead, U.S. forces near Yemen are instead destroying them before they even get launched. So this is what many experts and even the people inside the Pentagon wanted from President Joe Biden last October. So I guess we're now paying for feet being dragged all along. They want to take basically proactive action to be able to show that we can act quickly against threats. Kind of like saying, oh, okay, you want to F around and find out? Well, okay, the U.S. can go ahead and play that game with you. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the approach that they're trying to take now. But now we're being told that even doing this won't deter the Houthis. Only time will tell if this is actually going to work out or not, but this has the U.S. officials saying that this is the least bad option to confront these militants. Isn't that kind of just like a nice way of saying that, you know, this was the best idea out of all the worst ones? Like, we thought about all the best ways to kind of handle this situation and said, nah, let's go with the bad ideas first. Brilliant. So of course, this kind of has the White House kind of backpedaling from the president's words.
Can you just tell me a bit more about what the president meant yesterday when he was asked by my colleague whether the strikes in Yemen are stopping the Houthis, and the president said no?
I think, you know, if you just look at what happened yesterday, it's pretty self-evident. They continue to have offensive capability, and they continue to be willing to use it. We also have plenty of defensive capability available to us, and we continue to use it as well.
Now, notice his choice of words, okay? He calls the weapons from the Houthis offensive weapons, meaning that they're attacking. Meanwhile, we have defensive weapons meant to defend, but they're still weapons. They do not want this labeled as a war because the United States can't afford another war. We're broke over here, guys. I mean, think about it. Congress just recently voted to avoid a government shutdown by passing this short-term spending bill that would ultimately keep federal agencies and the government running until the 1st of March. They just pretty much keep on kicking this can down the road, and you know, it's kind of like they're running in circles. And guys, we haven't even talked about the whole 5.2% wage increase for federal workers. How are these agencies going to adjust their budget for that? Well, I don't know. Like I said a while ago, we could be seeing cuts across the board at a national level because we just can't keep borrowing money and raising taxes. That is completely out of the equation. Now, some say that government workers don't do their jobs anyway, especially if you try to call the IRS or even the Social Security Administration, which means that this increase really isn't doing anybody any favors besides the employees. But again, you know, this is just what some people are saying. It's most probably coming from a place of experience. Now, I don't want our country to go into war. I really don't. I also don't want cuts that could be justified in that way. But the worst case scenario is that this is a possibility. And if swift and decisive action can't be made regarding these Houthis, then there might be a chance that this actually escalates into something much more. Not a good thing. But what do you guys think about this? Now, before I go, I just want to thank you guys for hanging out. Hit the like button if you liked it. If you didn't, that's okay too. And if you want more of this, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one.